Oh, welcome back to the Local Lens Media Podcast. We had a couple weeks off, so we needed to come back and get back out in front of everybody again with some more tips. And, we love when you guys interact with us. So like we always say, like, subscribe, comment on all of our posts, everything that we have on there, because we like to hear your guys' perspective and where you're coming from on all these topics. Today, we're going to touch base a little bit on Boomstock, which was a local fundraising concert that we did, festival actually, here in the Omaha area that was a massive success. Had a ton of fun doing it, a lot of work. We were pretty tired, but yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. First of all, I have to introduce my compadre, my co-host here, our elite account executive here at Walnut Media, Mr. Andrew Botwinick.
Morning. Good afternoon if you're listening in the afternoon. Joined alongside our director of sales here at Walnut Media, the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Dobbins. And I know you talked a little bit about Boomstock. We've also got some stuff because it's been 2 weeks from our time in Cincinnati whenever we were at the Radio Inc. Awards.
Yeah, and the Radio Master Sales Summit, which was a lot of fun. It was great to spend some time with some like-minded people that are doing a lot of the same things we are, that are having some of the same struggles and sharing ideas and hearing other insights in the industry of things that are working for other people. And it's nice to be able to have conversations with people that are struggling with some of the same things that we are. So that was really cool. Very, very beneficial. We both came away empty-handed on awards, but hey, that's okay. It was about the experience, and we were honored to be able to be finalists. And we were against some pretty steep competition with a lot of years of experience. So I was totally okay with that.
It was also really cool, the whole aspect of it. We were thinking we're just going in, being nominated for these awards, to soak in all the information that we could. We actually got invited to both be on different panels as well, too. So to be able to provide some insight about us here locally in Omaha and in the Midwest of what we're seeing and what we're doing for our clients and partners here. And then to be able to share that with, like you said, like-minded individuals that are looking for the same thing. It was kind of cool. It put us in a little bit of a different category of someone that people can actually listen to and think to themselves, oh, I might be able to take some of this back.
Yeah, and what we're going to talk about towards the end of the podcast is investing in yourself, self-development, and how important that is, and how we get moving so fast as account executives and sales managers and director of sales and vice president of sales that we don't take time to develop and get better. We become stagnant. That's the Radio Sales Master Summit is something that was investing in ourselves. It was taking time to be able to get better, be better for our clients, be better for our company. And we were really excited to be a part of it and learned a lot from it. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Boomstock, a local event that we did. And at the end of the day, the biggest reason why we did it was for our nonprofit marketing partners to be able to give back to them, Saving Grace and
Sienna
Francis House. I always say one and then I stumble on the other one, and Sienna Francis House. But that was great to be able to give back to them and raise so much money for them. But the really cool part about Boomstock and how much fun that was brands aren't doing things like that anymore. They're not having concerts as much or festivals, and really taking that extra step to connect with their listeners and create, help nurture that intimate relationship that radio has with the listening audience. And that's one thing, not to toot our own horn. And, the whole point of our podcast isn't to necessarily advertise and market and promote the stations that we work for. But that's something that we're really proud of, that we think that radio's lost its identity a little bit with connecting with the listeners. It's become so corporatized and so, let's feed the masses, the same exact thing. Whereas our company here that I'm so proud of, we're taking the time to put on a festival with 3 local bands and getting a lot of advertisers involved, getting our marketing partners connected with our listening audience and being able to see it firsthand is something powerful that I don't think hardly any other media companies are really doing anymore, Andrew.
I thought a really cool part of Boomstock too, aside from just the actual atmosphere of it, this is the 3rd year that Boomstock's been around, and each year we've picked a different nonprofit that we've worked with. This year we have a great relationship, like Adam said, with Sienna Francis and Saving Grace, so we chose those 2. But I also think from the operational standpoint, having our 4 on-air talent that are all throughout the day on Boomer all there together at the same time. There's other media companies at a national level that have a big festival and a massive one where it's all sorts of big name artists, celebrities. They come out, they go see it. And you can go to those ones. But I think from a local standpoint, what we did with Boomer and with Walnut Media, partnering with those local nonprofits and then bringing our on-air talent to those events to interact with listeners that listen to Neil at night from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. to see him in the middle of the day during the daylight hours. Yeah. They get a huge rise out of that. And I think just the atmosphere, it elevated it a little bit. And we talk all the time about how parades are a great way to kind of get the culture of the station that you work for. If people are excited to see you when you round the corner and they see your float and your on-air talent, this is just another level to that, I feel like.
Yeah, I loved hearing multiple people when they saw the on-air talent were like, I was starstruck. Like, oh my gosh, I've been listening to this guy for 15 years. That was cool. And that's what it's all about. And being able to, even on the sales side, just to connect with the listeners. I mean, if you are running low on motivation and excitement and passion for the brands that you're representing, that is an injection of adrenaline right there. And at the end of the day, I mean, that was probably a 15-hour day. Yeah. And we were wiped. I mean, we were so tired. And then the weird part was, I feel like everyone had the exact same experience. Then on Sunday, everyone was like, I was surprised with myself. I'm like, I feel pretty good. I even went to the gym. I was like having a normal day. I'm like, I must be better shape than I thought. I'm pretty active, and then Monday came around and whoops, I felt like I got hit by a truck. So it was delayed and I could barely pull myself out of bed on Monday morning. It was
me too.
The most exhausted but fulfilled I've been in a long time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, it was well worth it to be able to see everybody that was there. I think we had roughly 5,000 to 6,000 people that came out at any given moment that were there for the music, for the bands, for the crowd, for everything that we had set up. And it was a new location this year. Yeah. It was I wouldn't say last minute, but we had to do some schedule shifting with the Huskers, with them opening up that day that we had available then.
We almost didn't have it because of that.
Yeah. And I know that if we didn't have it, a lot of listeners and a lot of people that would have went there would have been very upset about it. But I think, it was just it was a great way for a local station to be able to have that kind of event and have that ownership. And from a sales standpoint, it was incredible because like you said, with some of the people that work for the station, if you're low on the station or need to have that extra adrenaline boost, it's the same thing for the advertisers. I mean, we had plenty of people across the board from everybody that had heard from advertisers that were there that maybe did minimal this year and next year they want to do more, or people that weren't even affiliated with it but loved the music. They were like, yeah, I'm in. I want to do more of this next year.
I'm proud to represent the brands that we represent every single day, but that was next level. I mean, to be able to be at an event like that, I encourage you that, if you work for a radio station that's not doing anything like that to connect with your listening audience, you might not do it on as big of a scale as a Boomstock, but do something to reach out and connect with the listeners to really, you get a pulse on how the public is viewing your product and how passionate they are about it. Because especially when you do that and then you get your potential marketing partners and current marketing partners all together in the same place, that's when magic starts to happen. They see the passion that your brand has. And it doesn't matter at that point that, oh, you know what? You're not on the top 10 Nielsen rating. Don't get me on that soapbox because I'll take off and run with it. But that's when those are environments where those hollow Nielsen ratings don't matter. You might be the number 1 or number 2 station in the market, but do you have a festival where you have 3 awesome local bands and you're benefiting 2 amazing local nonprofits and bringing in all your listeners in one place to experience the brand, experience the vibe, and just have an amazing night? And geez, did we hit a home run on the weather? I mean, we got a little bit of rain for like a hot second, but it was almost like refreshing. It was good.
It was needed because the beginning of the day was a little extra toasty while we were setting everything up. It was like 9 or 10 a.m. We could start to feel the sun beating down on us. But I mean, overall, it was a great event. It was incredible. And you talked about Nielsen. I think that's a great segue into our time spent in Cincinnati. a ton of stuff. And Nielsen did come up a few times, but not very often, because there was a few people on the panel that were ad agencies.
Yeah, and it was nice to see that we're not the only ones that are annoyed by the Nielsen ratings. And speaking of being annoyed, our timer's not running on this, so we're going to probably run really long.
I've been keeping time.
Okay, good, because I'm super wordy, and when I get going on this, if I'm not like constrained, I'm going to run forever. So our production team's on it, though. I can see the clock moving right now. So, but go ahead. I'll let you get back to what you were saying.
No, I just think another one of the things that we talked about with Nielsen, and when we were in Cincinnati, we did a few panels while we were out there too. Some of the things that we highlighted, some of the I wouldn't say the best things, because there was a lot of good stuff there. But I think some of the stuff that stuck out the most to us was there was some work done by Pierre at Westwood One and Cumulus, and you can go to Westwood One and there's free case studies, reports, research, all that kind of stuff that's available as an account executive or anybody that wants to have that information from the radio side. But he has a great case study about a business that he's worked with and did a marketing case study where it was mostly just for brand awareness and being able to separate the local business from those national businesses. And actually the local business is profiting the most. And as far as brand recall and brand recognition, they are far and beyond the best in that market specifically. And they really just go by the 95-5 rule. And that was something that we've kind of been implementing, but didn't really know it had a name. Whenever you look at the marketing funnel at the very top of it, it's just that brand awareness, getting to know that name. And like we've always preached, being known before you're needed. I think that's a huge thing. And as you go further and further down the funnel, the less time you should be spending on your marketing dollars. Obviously, everybody wants results, but 95% of what you are doing is going to be in that top end of the funnel with brand recall, brand recognition. Because if you're in the market for a zip line or something crazy that you would never really want to buy more than once, you're going to just find the one that you know the name of the brand faster.
Yeah, that 95-5 rule is super important. And that's something that we preach about on this podcast and just every single day is that, 95% of the people that are listening right now aren't going to be ready to buy your product, okay? As an advertiser, you just need to know that. If you're trying to advertise to push something that needs to go right now, you're too late. It needs to be a lifestyle. It needs to be something that you're doing all the time. And the brands that are consistently running radio commercials are the ones that are reaping the benefits from it. I love that I heard from this actual summit that this one quote that somebody said is, it was a girl from another media company. And she said, I tell all my clients that, I hear a lot that from my prospects that radio doesn't work, but my clients know that it does. And that was powerful to me because the clients know, it's the prospects that are a little skeptical whether it works. And, really, I like to compare that. And we talked about this earlier before we came on here about that farmer versus hunter mentality. And, I really am, in my early 20s, I was a hunter. I was like, let's go after it. Let's tee it up, And I feel like that hunter mentality when it comes to this is very much, pulls you into the get a quick sale, move on to the next. Whereas, with radio, it's more of a farmer mentality. You're planting seeds, you're cultivating those. It's longer lasting. It's got deeper roots. And, it's a perspective to look at as an approach from an account executive, but also as a business that's running an ad campaign. You want to have that farmer mentality. You're planting a seed. You got to give it time to grow. If you get impatient, when you plant a garden, if you get impatient with how it's growing, you don't rip the seed out of the ground and just say, you know what, I'm done. It's not working. You strategize other ways to help that seed grow faster. You put Miracle Grow on it. You water it more. You get it more sun. You nurture it. You don't give up on it. And that's the problem with so many companies. And it goes to digital too. It's a month. Didn't change my business. I'm out. You got to take a breath and give it time, because any good marketing plan, you shouldn't even really be evaluating it until at least 3 months in.
And they talked a lot too whenever we were at the Radio Masters Sales Summit in Cincinnati. They said some analogies that Adam and I have said plenty of times with Similarly to you try advertising for a month, it didn't work. All right, you move on to the next one. Well, you wouldn't go to the gym for a month and just say, oh my gosh, well, I'm not immediately world body style. I'm not exactly what I want. I'm not ready to go.
You're not shredded.
Yeah, I'm not shredded. Thank you. Or if you're starting a diet, if you're trying to lose weight that way, you're not going to do it for a month and go, oh, well, I'm not seeing, I plateaued. I'm not doing as much as I thought I would lose and yada, 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 whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's the kind of things that on the radio side, it takes a little bit longer, but it's going to be worth the wait. I mean, it could potentially take longer. It doesn't always, but those are the things where you have to see it out and see 9-10 months into the future instead of just 30 days into the future.
All right. Well, welcome back again. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Andrew's extreme attractiveness froze up the camera, and we actually saw icicles forming from it, and it just completely froze up. So we're going to try to pick up where we left off, pick up the ball, and run with it.
I think the last thing that we were talking about was from our time at the Radio Masters Sales Summit, just some of the stuff with as far as marketing goes, going in it for the long haul, and kind of similar to when you would approach going to the gym and when you would approach a diet. You don't just try it out for 30 days. You're going to try it out for much, much longer and have that full approach to it, actually going with it. I mentioned a little bit after we had gotten cut off with a book that we've been reading in our group, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks a little bit about it too. And there's at one point, there's a fork in the road that you go after a certain period of time. And for this instance, we'll just use 30 days where you either the first path to the left is you continue sticking it out. And as far as it would go in this scenario is with marketing, is you would continue to do radio advertising. Or the other path, which is your previous habit, your old habit, is to revert back to what you were doing before. And that's saying, okay, well, I'm not getting results. I'm out. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more as far as processes go, better to just stick with it to actually make that change, and you will see it in the long run.
Yeah. And, we can have a million comparisons on how, different things that you can utilize to compare a radio campaign. One thing that I like to do sometimes, and I don't do it as much as others, but you compare it to like how you prepare a meal, how you prepare food. You throw it in a microwave real quick and you need to like sell a bunch of $1 cheeseburgers. That's, again, just like a microwave. It's quick. It's okay. It's, the food's not going to be as good. It might be kind of soggy, but it'll maybe get the job done for you. You go step up an air fryer. Okay. That's middle of the road. It's going to take a little bit longer. Food's going to probably be a little bit better, but again, you're taking a little bit more time, right, and you're getting a little bit better result. And, at the end of the day, you take all day and you have a nice calculated, slow, methodical approach, like a crock pot. You have something sitting in a crock pot all day and you have it. That stuff's falling off the bone. It's delicious. It's well cooked. And it's very similar to a campaign. Great things come with time and patience. And that is no different with a marketing campaign. That's something that we really need to retrain our clients on. We're in this like instant gratification society and we want everything yesterday. That's okay. But, something that I heard a while back, and a quote is, the best time to start marketing was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. But at the same time, I love that too. And you need to have the urgency, but at the same time, know that this takes time. If everybody could get their business on top and just blowing it out of the water and just printing money by running a 1-week radio commercial, everybody would do it. There would be no business that would go out of business. There would be no business that would struggle at all. Everybody would do it. But the reason why everyone doesn't do it is because it takes time, patience, and intelligence to be able to capitalize on a long, drawn-out marketing plan. There's a reason why the most profitable companies and the most well-known companies in the world are spending thousands upon millions of dollars on marketing, and they're always at top of mind awareness because they know that 95-5 rule. They know 5% of the people are ready to buy today, but 95%, Andrew, they're not ready to buy today. But again, we always talk about you got to be known before you're needed. And if you're not a part of that conversation in their mind and you're not already in front of it in marketing and have already built that brand awareness, you're probably not even going to be in the conversation.
No, not at all. And that's a great segue with the last note that you had in that I think I want to highlight too. I'll let you talk mostly about it because I think it's a great story that you have. But with brand recall, I mean, radio is great, but the problem that we've seen on our end whenever we've met with clients is a lot of clients will go, well, it's great that I'm running ads, but no one ever comes in and says they heard my ad.
Yeah.
No one comes in and says, oh, well, they heard my ad on your guys' radio station and they bought something. And that's where it gets tough because as an AE or as an account executive or someone in marketing, you know in the back of your mind, if I hear an ad for Sonic, I'm going to Google Sonic, see which one the closest one is near me, see what time they open, what's on their menu, whatever it may be that I'm looking for that additional information, I'm looking it up. If I go there, I'm going to tell them I found you online at Google.
Yeah.
Even though I heard your ad, it was the very first thing I heard that got the whole conversation sparked and the whole ball rolling.
You drove them to Google.
Yep, exactly.
No, and that's sorry to interrupt you there,
No,
but
you're
like that's what radio does. It drives people to Google. And they're going to say, oh, I found you online. Well, they found you online because they heard you on the radio and then it put them there. And that's the frustration as someone that's an account executive or in media sales is so many of your clients are going to tell you, they're going to say, I've been running this radio campaign and nobody's saying that they heard us on the radio. That's because nobody's going to remember where they heard you from. There, if you judge it by look at your profits, look at how busy you are compared to where you were before you started the campaign. If business is good, it's working. And that's what you need to know. The one thing, and I can let you talk about this too. I don't want to take all the thunder from it, but we at the Radio Master Sales Summit, this was a great study that we did we looked at on Safe Light Auto Repair, that Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace. And they did a study, Andrew, and asked everyone, where did you hear that ad from? Where's your recall from that? Where do you remember it from? And the number one response was TV. Number two was radio. The funny part about that is Safe Light spent $0 on radio. Again, more proof that it doesn't matter where they heard it from. It matters that they heard it.
Well, one of the coolest things too that Pierre at Westwood One, while he was giving this presentation, talked about too is that the number one search engine is not Google, it's not Yahoo, it's not Bing, it's not any of those other ones that you would go to. It's your brain.
Yeah,
it's memory. If you can remember it, you're going to Google it. If you can't Google what you can't remember, and I think that's so powerful because that's right where radio sticks in. It's another opportunity where you can get into the mind of a consumer and just reaffirm everything that your brand and your business speaks for, and just be another touch point. That way, if they do go to Google later, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I remember hearing about this place that has this steak on the menu. I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to check it out. They may say, like I said earlier, that they found you on Google, they found you on Facebook or whatever it may be, but they heard your radio ad first, and that played a part in that 95-5 rule.
Yeah. And as an account executive, make sure that you're very, very careful that you're setting expectations. If you're going to sell a package and you're going to do like a sports sponsorship or a feel-good thing that's more of like, hey, you're supporting the community, don't let the client think that that's going to change their business. They need to be on air all year. They need to be doing something. They need to be at the forefront of everyone's mind year round. And I think a little bit of a pitfall that we have with AEs is, we're competitive. We want to sell something. We want to get the client on the air. We want to close that proposal. But with that comes realistic expectations. And if you sell a package one time, that's being a hunter. That you're a hunter. You got a quick kill. Okay. Congratulations. You're not going to be able to go re-kill that same animal again and feast off of that because you sold them a fake bill of goods. They bought a $500 or $400 package, and the way that you presented it to them it was going to change their business and they were going to make a ton of money off of it. They maybe got a few people in there, but at the end of the day, like that's not going to change their business. And you need to build trust with your client. They need to know that if they're going to spend money with you, that you're going to create an accurate perception of what they are going to be getting back from that.
And a callback to the previous episode that we had, I think it was episode 3, is the CNA dead? That's where a lot of all of this background work plays in doing a CNA correctly and making sure that, You're getting everything that you can get before you actually show them anything proposal wise or agreement wise, because you don't want to show them a $500 package and say, this is going to get you this much dollars. This is going to sell this much product for you, because it probably won't at $500. It's unless, like you said earlier with your cheeseburger analogy, if you're selling dollar burgers and you're just wanting to tell people that, you might sell some, but you're probably not going to sell as many of them as you could if you had been doing this for a month or two leading up to it and had a much higher spend to be able to solve that problem.
Yeah, that's empty short-term business. So just remember those pieces. And again, guys, when you're listening to this, we would love to hear your feedback. So, send us a comment, send us a message. You can reach out to me at adam@walnutmediausa.com and Andrew at walnutmediausa.com. Any way you guys can reach out. And we love to create a community with this and hear what other people are thinking, because we have some pretty strong opinions on this stuff, but there could obviously, and there probably is something that we're leaving out that we'd love to hear from you guys, what you think.
Yeah, and I know we had a lot more on our sheet here, but I mean, obviously, as it happens with every episode, it feels like we get really passionate about the first couple topics. And I mean, I think the whole next episode of what we're going to do is, and to tease it a little bit, is how you should approach a one-on-one, both from a director of sales or a management side and as an account executive side, because I think that's where a lot of there's a lot of, I don't want to say question marks, but that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind is it's how it should look and what you should be getting out of it from both sides.
Yeah, that's sacred time that you want to make sure that you and your sales leader, or vice versa, you and your account executive are really planning your month. And we're not going to dig into it now because that's going to be our next episode. But it's not all just about where we're at to goal. There's a lot of planning and a lot of strategizing that needs to happen in that. And a lot of times that might be the only time you get to touch base with your leadership and to make sure that you guys are on the same page. So next week, we're going to talk about all the important aspects of how to have a great one-on-one or an IFM, whatever you want to call it, an individually focused meeting. We're going to hit on some things that we think are very, very important. And again, we love the collaboration and feedback from you guys. We want to hear some things that you do in your one-on-ones that are really, really beneficial to you. But I think we're starting to probably run out of time here, man.
I think so. I'm checking my watch right now. I think we have it like 60 seconds. So
all right,
got a little extra time. As one of our former leadership roles would say, he would say, I think something along the lines of like, the best gift is the gift of time or something.
Yes.
You remember him saying that ever?
I do remember that. Well, guys, make sure to share this out. Like it, subscribe on YouTube, on Performance Podcast. We're in the Performance Podcast studio. I fumbled up the intro to the podcast so bad, I don't even think we got to say that. But appreciate you guys listening to another episode of the Local Lens Media Podcast. And we'll be back with you next week. And remember, in media, you always need to be known before you're needed.